Okay, very good. Do we have any public that would like to comment on any items that are not in front of the planning board tonight? Not seeing any, we will move on to, well, I just want to make a comment. As far as the meeting will be going, first we have 3 A&Rs in front of us, and then we'll take a 5-minute break to sign all the A&Rs, and we'll move on to the hearings. Okay, next item on the agenda are the minutes for 1/3/23. You have them in your packet, and also, I think they were emailed to you previously, or in your package you received. I read them over, don't see any problems. Does anybody have any additions, subtractions, or corrections?
I'll make a motion, we accept them as typed.
Okay, very good. I have a motion accepting as typed from Les. Do I have a second? Okay, very good. Amanda, would you like to second it?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I have a motion to accept and a second. Just ask one more time, any more additions, subtractions, corrections?
Nicole?
If not, I'll call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
You can vote on them, but... Okay, I have an aye from Les, an aye from Amanda. Mr. Gould, for the minutes, aye?
Aye.
Okay, and one abstention. Okay, very good. Next item on the... these are the minutes. Next item on the agenda are A&Rs. First one up is Cummings Road. Who will be speaking to that? I will. Okay, very good. Okay, what changes, well, I'll wait till you sit down, but...
Okay, thank you. Hey, man, I can share this.
They look pretty similar to what the
Yeah.
original ones were.
Now, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's Joshua Joslin. I'm representing Graz Engineering, and we did this plan for June Clockers out on Cummings Road. The only major changes from the plans that we sent you are that we managed to get out there and set some of the pins that were called to be set on the original plan. So some of them moved a little just because we put them in spots that made more sense.
Now, what is the changes on the plan? Is there any in the dimensions of the lot?
Yeah, so some of the dimensions changed a little bit just because some of the pins shifted by a foot or two, but not everything still meets the zoning regulations.
In other words, is there enough frontage on each
Yes,
of the lots?
there's
And I
enough
think
frontage
that
and enough of the areas.
Each of them still have 200 feet?
Yep.
And just to confirm as well, the remaining land of Mrs. Clockers and Kimberly LaPointe, it's still a conforming lot to zoning, correct?
Correct,
Still
yes.
200 feet of frontage
Yes.
on Cummings Road, as I'm seeing.
Yep, it actually has more than 200.
Okay, all right.
Okay, very good. No? Oh. Okay. I don't know, but... Okay, very good. Les just mentioned that has a relationship to one of the names on the A&R, so he will be abstaining on this. Do I have any questions on this A&R? I personally looked it over. I think it conforms to everything. We do have some wetlands on the frontage of the road, but they're back behind the lot line, so it doesn't make any difference on that. They'll have to go to conservation to get permission to cross those wetlands if they want to build on the lot. But as long as the wetlands are not in front of the lot, there's no problem on that. Correct. Thank you. Okay, do I have any questions from any of the board members? Does anybody want to comment on this, or make a motion to, what is the motion again on A and R?
Just to accept the A and R.
Accept the A and R.
Yep, so we'll, and you're here for other hearings too, so we can sign yours after after it's over, yeah.
I'll make a motion to endorse the A and R as presented.
Endorse, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Thank you, Art.
Do we have a second?
Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, very good. So we have a motion and a second. Does anybody have any questions before I call the vote? Not hearing any. All in favor of endorsing this A and R?
Aye.
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 Abstain.
Oh, that's right. And the chair votes aye, so we have 4 ayes and 1 abstention.
Mrs. Clockers is
So
not
it
here.
is endorsed.
No.
Okay.
That with Brian, yeah.
The next A and Rs on the agenda are, actually, there's 2 of them, the same one for Lakeview Drive on the, what the heck?
There are
Auto credit
Yep,
property.
3 sets of plans, Auto Credit Corp., North County Land Trust, and Todd Famous. It's a division of a division of 2 lots into 3 lots.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Okay, we have 2 different A and Rs.
We have 3 A&Rs.
Tonight?
We have 3 A&Rs for Lake Menominee. One is a division of a large parcel of land into 2. One is some property off of Glen Allen Street.
Oh, okay, the paperwork for the Glen Allen Street one. What is that,
Glen Allen is the division of, those were all the lots that appeared on GIS that actually were not lots, after the surveyors took a look at everything.
okay, I just want to make sure I get the right one in
Yep,
front of me
I will pull it
here.
up on the screen.
Um,
It's the, we're doing the Glen Allen one first.
Glen Allen one.
The Glen Allen is just a parcel that looks like, I don't know, what does it look like? I'm trying to find it. Should have labeled them. Glen Allen is, this is a large parcel.
Okay, that's,
Glen Allen is the smaller parcel of land. I think it's the 16 acres.
okay, very good. Do we have a, well, these are all under the same project number.
All under the same project number with an A, B, and C to signify the 3 different ones.
Okay, actually, what I ended up here with was 1B and 2Cs in my packet.
Oh, okay. I
So,
apologize
yeah,
for that.
okay, very good. I don't think there's any problem as far, it's just in,
So this is the parcel on Glen Allen right here. Just a
okay, and that
large
would be
parcel of
A,
land.
correct?
I believe so. I'd have to look. Yeah.
Okay, very good. I don't know if everybody's had a chance to look at theirs. I do not have a plan with it, so,
You
in
don't
my
have a plan-
packet.
You don't have a plan in your packet?
No, actually, what I ended up with was 2Cs.
Okay. This is the property on Glen Allen. I apologize for that. Does everybody else have the
Oh,
proper one?
wait, I might,
It's the one that's up on the screen now.
okay. No, that's not it. Yeah, see, I get this C and I get this C.
That's the one right there.
Okay, it's
Yep.
B then.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Floor is yours. Please introduce yourself.
I am Joanne Christoff from North County Land Trust, and I am presenting these applications on behalf of the landowner, Auto Credit Rehab Corp., for the division of one parcel into 3 separate parcels. And each of the parcels meets the zoning requirements for frontage and area by vast amounts.
Yes, a lot. So this
So-
is a 16
So
acre
this
parcel.
first one, the Glen Allen
Yes.
parcel is
16.24 acres,
16 acres with, gosh,
a lot of frontage.
2,000 plus feet of frontage.
Right, so that's the, just for note, everybody here, that's the land that runs along Glen Allen Street, 202.
Yes.
Up to where it cuts off to Menominee Road
Exactly.
west.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's, from there over to the north branch of the Millers River.
Right.
I got some question.
As we see, it requires the frontage, it's got plenty of area, and it's got plenty of access, so it meets all 3 criteria.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Mr. Gould has
Mr.
some
Gold.
questions.
I'm sorry, I didn't see over there.
Does any of this have anything to do with the dam near where the square piece is? You know what I'm referring to as the square piece? No? Okay. Okay,
Not-
I'm satisfied.
Not a thing.
Huh?
Has
Now,
nothing to
does-
do with it.
Does it, you know, it's about time something was done out there. I'm rather familiar with it because I was a selectman for several years, and the association itself never did anything out there. It never did a thing. Now, does this affect anything whatsoever with the dam, basic at the old White's Mill, or anything, you know? No
No.
water flow problems whatsoever?
No.
Okay, very good, and this land, what will be the final use for it, do you think, or?
Well, North County Land Trust is a nonprofit organization that conserves land for wildlife value and public use for the time being, it's going to be conservation land.
Conservation land, great.
Yep.
Okay,
Sometime in the future, we may try to do an affordably priced housing on a very small portion of this Glen Allen parcel, but that's many years down the road, I expect.
that's a dream, I take it.
Well, yes, we can dream.
Okay, do I have any other questions? It's pretty straightforward, A and R. Do I have a motion to endorse this, the first A and R?
I'll make a motion to endorse this A&R.
Okay.
Second.
Second with Mr. Armenta. Any other questions? If not, I'll call a vote. All in favor of endorsing this A and R?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, so the first one's endorsed.
Good job, people, good job.
The second one I have here is, again, I'm a little mixed up here on the paperwork, so, which one is, do we have going, Nicole, for the second one?
DA?
Which is the larger parcel that's up on the screen now.
Okay, very good.
And it is, well, actually, it's the smaller of the two. It's 51.627 acres.
Okay, could you give us a little explanation on this one?
This is a division of, if you can see the plan that's on the screen, the inset in the lower left-hand corner, this is
Land.
dividing the land that remains, now that we've divided off the Glen Allen parcel. This divides the remaining land into 2 pieces, one piece north of the power line, and our third A&R is the remaining land that's south of the power line. But this is looking to divide
Who was the engineer?
the, this is very hard to describe, actually.
Actually, if I'm looking here, it divides from where the previous piece of land meant Miller's River, basically, from Miller's River over to,
Northeast Survey Consultant.
over to Beachview. Lakeview, I'm sorry.
Lakeview, yes.
Lakeview.
And then the power line runs diagonally through that big piece, so we're taking the big piece and making it into two pieces. This is the northern portion of the property.
Do any board members have any questions? Mr. Gould?
Has your surveyor out there had any problems? Okay, all right, okay. I can tell you a couple of stories, basically, that, you know, wait till you people keep going.
Oh,
He's going to go out of his mind and so forth. You know, I'm familiar with a couple of them out there, so.
I'm glad to say that he has reassembled his mind now that he has finished all the survey work, but he said it was a bear.
Well, the original survey out there, and there's a copy here in the town hall, was done in 1936, and it was redone in 1938, and so forth, with quite a number of adjustments.
Oh.
But things were a little bit different in those days, and so on and so forth, and everybody look through the tube today, they don't do it, and so forth, but the guy's going to have some fun.
Well, I gave Nicole a copy of our new perimeter survey for the town to have,
Yeah?
and you'll probably enjoy looking at it.
You know, I kind of like to see it because when it was surveyed out there, when the roads haven't been accepted out there that many years and so forth, and some lots basically were lost. Some owners lost some of their lots basically because I think they got out of their car after having a couple of beers and walked them, and, you know, just drew sketches. And some of them out there, the man is smiling, so apparently, you know, he's going out of his mind looking at this stuff. So I can appreciate, you know, what your people are doing out there. Good show. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions, comments? I'll entertain a motion to endorse this A and R.
I'll make the motion to accept it.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and second. Any questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That one's passed unanimously. And we get to C here. I think I got this one straight.
So parcel C is just the remaining lot, now that we've divided off the Glen Allen lots and the lot north of the power lines. This is what remains. And it also meets zoning by miles.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
It meets zoning by miles. Lots
Oh, yes,
of
I see
frontage,
lot
lots of
frontage
area.
and
Yep.
plenty of acreage. And again, this is the lot south of the power lines that goes along Lakeview.
Yep, along Lakeview and then along the river.
Right. Yeah, and as you see, all these lots are just, they were done 40 years ago, so the plans to keep them, and they're not real lots.
Yeah, the
Right.
plans are interesting, to
Yes,
say the
they
least.
Phantom lots.
Yes. Okay, any questions of the board on this one? I don't see any. I'll entertain a motion to endorse this A and R.
I'll make the motion to entertain the A and R.
Okay, I have a
Second.
first and a second from Art. Again, no questions, so all in favor?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and that's endorsed unanimously.
Very good, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, and we'll get those after, I think we have, what, one more A and R to go, or, yeah.
Yep, 233 Main.
Okay, very good. This is from Robert F. Posey. Is he in the audience, or somebody speaking?
But we have Brian.
Oh,
If you
okay.
could just sign in for me, thanks.
Hi, Brian. Introduce yourself and,
I'm Alex from Zoc Surveyors, representing the Dugans and I talk to him all the time. I don't know how to pronounce his last
I
name.
pronounce it Poisel. but
Poisel?
I don't, yeah,
Poisel?
I could
Okay.
be doing it wrong.
I'm lousy at names.
All right, we'll go with that. Basically, the Dugans are cutting off 2 acres out of the rear of their property and selling it to Mr.
Poisel.
Yes, and keeping the 5+ acres with their house on Main Street. Simple as that.
Okay, and here are notes on it that it is just being transferred over to
Poisel.
the applicant.
Yes.
Correct.
The applicant. So it's not going to be a building lot or anything, and they, the only question, they do have enough frontage?
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
very good.
And this isn't affecting any of the frontage anyway, so it's just taking a chunk off the rear.
But I mean, the original, where they're taking the chunk off of, has the
Yes.
frontage?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
oh, yeah, yep.
Very good. Or the remaining lot, I should say, to be specific. Any questions? And does everybody know where this lot is? Basically, it's up behind Lickety Split.
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't sure until you said it.
Yeah.
The Dugan's driveway is like right in between the motorcycle club and the ice cream
Yeah.
place.
Okay, very good. I guess it meets all the criteria. So, any questions from any of the board members? Not hearing any, I'll entertain a motion to endorse this A&R.
I'll make the motion to endorse it.
Okay, very good. Do I have a second?
I second that.
Second from Art, okay. Again, no questions, it meets all the criteria, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Mr. Gould votes aye, and the chair votes aye, and this one is endorsed. And at this point, let's see, it is 6:25. We'll take a 5-minute recess to
Sign the A&Rs.
sign all these A&Rs and whatever else you need to do.
5 minutes?
5 minutes. Okay. Nicole?
Yes.
if she,
Digging good. That's one of the reasons why the government likes it.
okay, very good. I call the Winchton Planning Board meeting back to order at 6:34. Let's go. Yeah, the clock is not that reliable anyway. Okay, the next item on the agenda, let me get my agenda here. Oh, here we go here. Next item on the agenda is public hearing dealing with Commercial Drive. Okay, we had dealt with this before, but this is a new public hearing because there was a cock-up on the Mylar, so we have to do another public hearing. Notice is hereby given that the Winchton Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, January 26, 2023, at 6:05 PM to consider the request of applicant David Clark of Methuen Construction, 144 Main Street, Post Office Box 980, Placetown, New Hampshire, 03865, for the approval of a definitive subdivision plan for property located off of Commercial Drive, Winchton, Mass. 01475. Current owner is the Winchton Redevelopment Authority. Property is identified as Winchton Assessors Map 12, Parcel 23. Said property is located in the C1 Large Scale Commercial District. The hearing will be held in the second floor auditorium of the Winchton Town Hall, 109 Front Street. Plan is available at the town clerk's office. All interested persons should plan to attend. Alternative translations and accommodations are available by advance request by contacting the Planning and Development Department at least 3 days in advance. And with the reading of the notice, I call that hearing to order at 6:35. Okay, very good. Okay, very good. Please introduce yourself and a little explanation again. I did give a bit there, but
Yeah, thank you. Patrick
Was
Bogle from
everybody
Howard Stein
notified
Hudson.
that this is going to be heard tonight from
this-
They were, yeah?
This plan is the same plan, almost identical to the plan that you guys signed previously, with the exception of the reference back to the original design plans, which we've added at Nicole's request, and town council, I believe, so that it could be in compliance and it could get signed by all the members of the board.
could you move your microphone a little closer?
Sorry about that.
Okay.
So it should be identical to the previous set, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
So the plan you're presenting to us tonight is the original plan we made the decision off, and the Mylar that you gave us was just the same plan, but was a different engineering company that drew it up, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that.
Yeah,
So
so-
this is why we're back here on this.
So the plans that you see in front of you it's by the same company. So HSH does all the design items that you previously saw and all the presentation material that we did. All the base file behind it, all the survey items were done by Landtech. There's actually 5 sheets within the design plans that reference the exact same material that you're seeing here. The finalized definitive versions of those are produced by Landtech on the Landtech border. It's typically the way that we do it on all our subdivision plans. And then it's just the final math calcs, everything like that is depicted as you see it within these plans. That was the same, this is the same plan that you saw previously, the finalized version with the exception of the reference back to those design plans. As well, which showed all of the subdivision, plan and profile sheets, the grading and drainage sheets, all of those other design-specific items.
Okay, very good, thank you. Do you have any comments on this, Nicole?
I do not. We did send this to legal counsel, and he agreed with, what our previous conversation was. I do have a notice of decision that is drafted up, so if the board would like to sign it, if you've had a chance to review it, I would be happy to read it for you if you'd like. Patrick, if you want.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so, notice of decision, this is for the definitive subdivision. The date is January 26, 2023. The applicant is Methuen Construction. Property owner is the Town of Winchton Redevelopment Authority. Property location is Commercial Drive, Bemis Road, map 12, parcel 23, book 43, 641, page 48. And this is in reference to the planning board number 2022-0726, and this reverts back to our original hearing. Notice is hereby given that the planning board, this is, again, a draft decision, so I'm going to approves the plans as presented for a definitive subdivision located off Commercial Drive, identified as map 12, parcel 23, Bemis Road, Winchton, Mass. The plan submitted dated December 14th, 2022, prepared by Land Tech Consultants, entitled Plan of Land, Bemis Road, parcel 12-0-23, Town of Winchton, Massachusetts. Procedural history for the definitive subdivision approval hearing. Public hearing notice was sent to abutters on 1/11/23, published in the Gardner News on 1/12/23 and 1/19/23. Public hearing was held 1/26/23. The votes were as followed. I did leave that blank because we don't know how we're going to vote. Plans for the proposed subdivision were submitted to this office entitled Proposed Commercial Subdivision, dated July 26, 2022, prepared by Howard Stein and Hudson for Methuen Construction at 144 Main Street, P.O. Box 980, Plastow, New Hampshire, 03865. Approval for the proposed subdivision was granted by the planning board with safeguards and provisions, and I put see Worcester Registry of Deeds, book 68574, page 313. This is the original decision granted by the planning board in the meeting in October that was recorded by Methuen Construction or Howard Stein from the company, that whoever had recorded it. The plan was recorded with the Worcester Registry of Deeds, book 68574, page 313. They remain unchanged and in effect. And then approval for the definitive subdivision is approved with the following safeguards and provisions. All plans for the individual lots within the approved subdivision will be subject to all Town of Winchton zoning, conservation, Board of Health, and Building Department approvals as submitted with each proposed project. Meaning each lot is probably going to have something different on it. Therefore, they have to still go through the same process that anybody else that wants to build in town would need to go through. The road is going to be private. Section 3.9A, Town of Winchton subdivision regulations, filing a performance guarantee. This decision must be filed with the board within 30 days after expiration of the appeal period of the approval, or subdivision shall be void. Section 3.9B, Town of Winchton subdivision regulations, surety in the form of a bond shall be provided to the Town of Winchton treasurer. We did talk about a bond at the last meeting to, hold in place. I believe it was $1.2 million that we talked about the bond. So that bond will have to be in place sometime between now and 30 days from now. So the treasurer will need that in the office. In section 3.10.2 A through D, Town of Winchton subdivision regulations must be followed. Basically, that references that the applicant shall submit the plan and statement of conditions for recording together with any documents protecting open space. We don't have any open space in this area. With the Worcester Registry of Deeds, the applicant shall present a receipt to the Department of Planning and Development, which we will make a copy thereof, and shall distribute copies of the approved plans to the various town departments according to the policies, meaning the treasurer gets one, the town clerk gets one, and the assessor will get a plan so they can record it. Failure to make complete filing with the Registry of Deeds as specified in this section within 30 days after the board endorses its approval on the plan will render the subdivision approval null and void. Okay, so there's a 20-day appeal period on this. I will be recording it. I'll be driving to the Registry of Deeds to record it for you guys once that 20 days is up. My plan is to go on February 21st. And then the building commissioner will not issue any permits until he's received the recorded plans, so the recorded subdivision. Okay?
Is the bond the same as the previous decision's bond?
Yes.
Requirements?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So
The 30-day period is the same as the previous
it's
decisions?
referencing a chapter in Mass General Law.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so,
Okay, very good. Does anybody have any questions on this before I ask for a motion to close the hearing?
I'd like to hear from Public Works.
Oh,
I'm going to request a copy of that bond in my office. It's held in the treasurer's office, but my office holds a copy as well. So I just need a photocopy of it.
okay, great. That Nicole could.
yep, I'll give you a photocopy.
Yeah, we've gone round and round with this I see no issues with the plans as presented. It meets all current needs. Yeah, we've gone full circle on this one.
Okay, great. Any other comments?
I have a question. You said that
Yes.
the road was to be private. Is there like a time limit on how long it stays private? Does it turn public at some point?
No, it will always be private.
Okay.
It's deeded as private. It'll never be a town-accepted road.
Okay.
Always private.
Okay, if no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Okay, thank you, Art. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Thank you, Amanda. So we have a motion and a second. If no other comments, I'll call a vote. All in favor of closing the hearing?
Aye.
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 And the chair votes aye, so the hearing is closed. Okay, our next item on the agenda is, or not item on the agenda, but item now is the conditions that you just read.
Yes.
Actually, she's read them, so I don't think she needs to read them again. I'll spare you that.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions or comments before I ask for a motion to approve the project?
Same.
With the conditions that Nicole had read out previous to closing the hearing.
Yes. Thank you.
Unless there's a
Same as last time.
same as last time. Who would like to make the motion to approve it?
A motion to approve it?
Oh, great, thank you, training. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, okay, very good. Any other questions before I call the vote? All in favor of approving this, please vote aye.
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 And the chair votes aye, so it's approved.
Thank you.
Okay, very good, thank you.
So, Patrick, we will sign this this evening. I will stamp it in with the town clerk on Monday, because we're closed tomorrow.
Okay.
So, and then the 20-day appeal period will start. As long as there's no appeals, I'll bring it down to the Registry of Deeds, record it, and then I'll send you guys a copy.
Okay, when, are you signing the plans tonight as well?
We're signing the plans, and we're signing the draft decision tonight.
Okay.
Yep,
Awesome.
yep.
Should I stick around for the plans?
No, because they're subject to 20-day appeal period, so they have to
You're
stay
you're
with the
welcome to
decision.
stick around if you want to.
You don't want to hang out here 20
Pain.
days. We do eat well around here, so, you know, you be well fed.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we go down to, last but not least, is the public hearing on Doyle Avenue. This was rescheduled from
Okay,
12/20/22.
Anybody here from Doyle Avenue? Anybody?
Yes,
Huh?
Graz.
So,
No, no,
All right.
no abutters.
I do not need to read the public hearing notice, it's already been read, thankfully. Okay, so I declare this hearing reopened at 6:45. Okay, very good. Just, again, introduce yourself, and we also have Gene Christie, our engineer here. He drove a train.
Yes.
Yeah, my name is Joshua Joslin with Graz Engineering, representing Asher Construction on this project. It's essentially, it's the stormwater management permit that we're applying for 7 lots on Doyle Avenue that we did the A&R for the construction, and it meets all of the state and local stormwater regulations. And Gene Christie here from Ty and Bond went through comments too, and we've made some changes to the plan, not since you guys have seen the plan last. This should be the same plan you've seen. I think some of the comments that were addressed were in the big packet that we emailed to you guys. So, yeah, I guess we could have Gene go through the comments, or open it up to any questions.
Okay, very good. We have Jean Christie here. She reviewed this, had, I think it was 32 comments.
Lots of comments, and because this was just the stormwater review, it's a lot of technical stuff.
Yep.
Which, I don't think we need to go through all the technical pieces of, the nitpicky things, because it's not exciting. There's a few things I do want to point out, in our January 3rd letter. There's a number of items that we said weren't addressed, and I wanted to go through a couple of them, because a couple of them have been addressed, and I wanted to chat about a couple more. So, the first one being number 17, it's regarding the operation and maintenance plan, and in that maintenance plan, we're supposed to have a budget for maintaining all the stormwater components. This is a little unique because the operation and maintenance plan should be going to each homeowner to, maintain their respective components. Is that correct? Am I understanding that right? But the budget that was provided in the O&M plan that we received didn't quite have everything. I don't think that's something I need today. It could be a condition of approval if we go that route, to just revise that and send out. That's just including a couple more little things.
Question, Gene.
Yeah.
Did you get this last handout that, from Graz Engineering, that they were sent about 3 o'clock?
Today?
Yes.
No.
Trevor,
Not
Trevor sent something
Okay.
today. I'll give
Was that taken care of in there?
Yes, because they addressed them. I
Okay.
know that you have,
Okay.
like 5 things
Okay.
that were not addressed, so.
Okay.
And,
We're gonna put Gene on the spot. You wanna read that out loud?
Their comment for 17 was, an operation and maintenance budget has been added to the maintenance agreement. That is their comment here.
From the date, because this one's December 28th.
No, Trevor just sent me that. He just sent me that today at 3 in an email that said, hang on one second, let me pull up my email. Go into email.
Yeah, I didn't notice this, but December 28th, is that?
Yeah, but he just sent it this afternoon.
Any reason, would that be correct date, or did he just not
Yeah,
change the
I
date
actually-
on the form he used?
So
See-
Trevor said, Hi Nicole attaches the updated Doyle Avenue application packet. The only change from the last set I sent is a signed maintenance agreement. No plan changes have been made since. Tim from Ty and Bond spoke yesterday, and he agreed with me that the remaining review comments, aside from the signed maintenance agreement, do not warrant any further changes. And then he attached the, what I gave Gene.
Okay, because that didn't, the maintenance agreement, if it hasn't been changed, doesn't include all the pieces.
Okay.
So I'd like to get some more detail in there if we can.
I do have Trevor's response here. I could read it if you want. I don't know if you have it too.
I have his
Okay.
response from the 28th that I included in my letter. But I think it was the specific things to the subsurface infiltration system, which wasn't noted in, it's noted in the operation and maintenance plan, but not as a line item for a budget.
Right, so the subsurface infiltration chamber wouldn't really require maintenance because that deep sump catch basins catching all the sediment.
It still needs inspection, so you still have to pay for someone else to go out there and do
Okay.
it. I don't think the homeowner's qualified to do that.
Okay.
So
I
that's the kind of pieces,
So-
and
Okay, so,
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
so unfortunately, this falls underneath my department now with the MS4 regulations. That needs to be inspected yearly. During construction, we feel that it's appropriate that we hire a third-party source to inspect the construction and the maintenance after the first year. It's imperative that these systems work. We cannot handle any excess water in that area down there. It's very difficult as it is, so it'd be my recommendation to the board to have Ty and Bond oversee the installation of these units and do the first year's inspection. My office is gonna be picking up the inspections. We haven't quite ironed out everything yet because it's a new regulation. So I contract with Ty and Bond to work on our MS4, and we're still trying to get our forms and everything in place because the state's constantly changing what our regulations are. So we want to make sure that it's in the deed or in the notes that there will be a yearly inspection, which is mandated by the town. Whether the town does it or a third party does it, there will be a cost in place for it. What that cost is right now, I'm not sure.
Okay, what's your comments on that? Will that be a stopper tonight, or is it something that we can?
I think it's something
Condition.
we can condition, because we don't know how long it's gonna take us to figure out, what that looks like.
Correct.
So I think, the maintenance agreement piece is there. It could have like an amendment with more detailed cost when we figure that out.
I don't, and it's just my opinion, I don't think that's a stoppage for tonight. I think that's something that just needs to be ironed out. And I don't mind working with Nicole and Ty and Bond to make sure that this is done in a correct manner.
And this would be a cost to the contractor.
Cost to the contractor and/or homeowner, because this is a reoccurring inspection. This is not just put the systems in and forget about them. This is, there's maintenance, there's inspections. If it fails, if the groundwater changes and it doesn't support it, there needs to be ways to be able to handle this groundwater. There is no formal drainage ditches down there at this point. I have no plan to put any formal drainage ditches down there. We are potentially looking at paving that road because of the condition it's in, but at this point, I don't plan on any upgrades on the town side, so any water coming from those sites needs to be handled by those sites.
Okay, and you have that, Nicole, what?
I do have that,
he
yes,
wants, And
yeah.
Jean, do you agree with that?
I agree, yep.
Yep.
Okay, do you have any comment, Mr. Gould, or at this point?
Well, I got a couple of questions here, and a couple of comments and so forth.
Okay,
whatever.
good.
I only have a handful of things to go through, so.
Okay, 19 is your next one?
Number 19, we missed some information. That information was provided, and that was what Trevor spoke with my counterpart Tim about yesterday. The same thing with 24, with the TSS removal and the water quality.
Do you have something to add about that?
28 and 29, same situation. We just couldn't find the data that we're looking for. Number 30 is a discussion point, probably with Brian, about a requirement in the regulations that says all pipes must be 12 inches. But the outlet for the basins is a 12-inch pipe, but it's been confined to a 6-inch orifice. So it's like got a cap on it with a 6-inch hole cut in it. I understand why that needs to happen from a stormwater design and the hydrology of the basin, how that works. The challenge is a 6-inch orifice can clog. So that's more probably a question to DPW about how do you feel about that?
So I do not support that. I do not want 6-inch. I don't want 12-inch reduced to 6. I want a minimum of 12 in that respect. The culverts for the driveways, I think 3 called for 8-inch and 2 called for 10-inch. I don't have an issue with those. It's more the 6-inch. I can't support 6-inch pipe. I'm dealing with it now in other areas, and it's not a great situation to be in, so.
Okay, very good. Are you able to agree to that? Because
I have a recommendation.
Yes, okay,
I
very
think you
good.
can probably do like a riser pipe instead and have that 6-inch
vertical
orifice.
orifice?
Are you still okay with the orifice?
Yeah, as long as the discharge is 12, I'm fine with exactly what you're saying. I'm fine with that inside the structure, but I cannot have the discharge at 6-inch.
Right, the pipe is 12 inches.
The pipe is
But it's
12
just-
inches with a
it's got a
6-inch
cap.
orifice. It's got a
Right,
cap.
as long as they give and I shouldn't even say us, because I'm not the one maintaining it, as long as there's a way to access it, then that's different.
yeah.
What Gene's referring to is an acceptable method.
Okay.
So the way we have it proposed is a 12-inch pipe with a cap with a drilled 6-inch orifice on it. So you'd
Yeah,
be
no,
able,
no. What we're saying is you have, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm misunderstanding this, is we have a T, and the pipe goes down and the pipe comes up, so it'd have a 12-inch out and be a 6-inch up and down.
so that's what you're saying would be okay.
Do you agree or disagree?
I
I'm-
see it a little differently. I see,
Right.
you have a 12-inch pipe at the basin. It has a 12-inch riser with like maybe a open top. It can have the 6-inch orifice to meet the design that we're doing. But in case that ever clogs, it would go into that 12-inch overflow, like to still be going out of the basin.
I see.
Do you understand that? Happy to draw pictures too.
No,
I
I
understand.
100% support what Gene just said. That's fine in my book.
So it's a 12-inch pipe with The
Well,
6-inch.
the 6-inch,
This is fine with a backup for overflow if needed to be into a
Exactly.
12-inch
The
pipe.
overflow backup right now is the weir, so it still is draining over that weir.
But-
overflow.
but it's not I don't believe it's big enough. So the way Gene's describing it takes all the potential failure out of it.
I don't think it takes all the failure out. It gives us the opportunity that if that 6-inch orifice clogged with whatever, because there's no trash rack around it, that's another option, is to put some kind of trash rack around the inlet to this inlet to an outlet pipe, the outlet pipe for the basin. That's our concern, and I think that's what the concern was, but you actually may have just changed my mind. We initially thought the concern was about trash clogging of a 6-inch. Leaves, they're big.
You're in the woods right there.
Yeah.
We're not cut down 100% of the trees. You're gonna have leaves, so.
It might be smart to have that 12-inch vertical pipe, 6-inch orifice, like a vertical orifice in it, so that you could reach in and grab stuff out of it if you needed to, and you can clean it up. But it would give it, instead of going over the weir, which we don't really want it to do, we can still get the pipe out.
I agree with that.
And I hope that's not gonna change the calculations of the basin. It's still gonna work exactly the same. It's just gonna give us kind of like a little belt and suspenders.
It's
Yeah.
an insurance factor.
Yeah,
Yeah, so if it rises, it can at least have somewhere to go.
right. If it goes too high,
Go in, it can
it'll still go out.
up and down, yeah. Okay.
Now, is this one that you've come to a resolution on?
I believe we
I
just
mean, a
came,
lot of this is Greek, you know.
Yeah.
I believe we just came to a resolution on that.
Yeah, and I think that it doesn't have to be put in the plans for my review. It's not gonna change anything that I'm looking at, numbers-wise. It could be a condition, instead of having it, going back and submitting again for one little change like that. But-
Okay, or continuing it.
And I'm
till
happy
they-
to work with Graz to figure out what that detail looks like.
Yeah, as long as that's at the same elevation as the
Right,
weir, it will
it
be,
will.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's also suggested to have Ty and Bond oversee the project.
Yep.
Do like 53G, oversee the project. I don't know what your feelings are on that, because there is the, let's see, my notes, federal stormwater inspection regulation. So we feel that that's important to keep an eye on, especially given the environment out there. So every 2 weeks, it's an inspection, or if you get more than, 24 hours after a rainstorm, if you get more than
Every 2 weeks
24
during construction.
Yep, yep, or if you get more than 1/4 of an inch within 24 hours of rain. So it's suggested, you guys can obviously go with who you want if you have somebody different, but it's suggested, because Ty and Bond's been the engineer through this project, we'll make a condition of a 53G, and at the applicant's expense, so it'd be at Asher Construction's expense. And Jean, will you provide an estimate for that for us? Okay, thank you.
I just don't want the engineering firm that's overseeing the installation overseeing the construction. So that's why we want a third party.
Yeah, understood.
Yep. And Brian, you had a concern with number 24. Are you satisfied with that?
I'm satisfied.
Okay, and the comment, Jean, if you can go over number 24, the infiltration basins are sized for water quality volumes, so,
Right, so this is, our stormwater regulations, kind of the MS4
yeah,
implementation into regulations we have to remove 90% of TSS. It used to be 80. When you look at the Massachusetts stormwater standards, now we're dialing down on that.
and what is TSS, just for the board?
Total suspended solids.
Okay, thank you.
So what we do here in this case is, this site doesn't normally require a 1-inch water quality depth. It requires a 1/2 inch because of its use. But because you're looking for that 90%, we're treating that first 1 inch of runoff. So it does meet that 90% requirement. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yes.
So it's okay with you then?
There's a lot of stormwater treatment on this site, yes. I'm
Okay.
good with it.
Very good. Now, that was item 30 we were talking about?
That was
That was item
24.
number
we went back
24, okay,
Yeah,
we
so
jumped back to
the
that.
Ty and Bond response was, while the infiltration basins are sized for the water quality volumes, the infiltration basins do not meet the requirement for 90% total solid
Suspended.
suspended,
Right.
total suspended solids removal. We recommend the applicant revise the design to meet the 90% TSS removal requirement.
So the challenge with this is that an infiltration basin previously by itself does not meet that 90%. It never will, according to Massachusetts, our numbers. But because we changed that requirement for how much we're treating, it does now meet that 90%.
Okay, so
And
a
that was
1
something
inch.
that Tim, Grace, and Trevor had talked about yesterday.
Okay, so the 1-inch pipe is in fact acceptable?
1 inch wood depth.
1 inch
rainfall
depth,
yeah.
okay, 1 inch depth is
That
good.
change you made this not a,
Right.
A non-issue,
not a
okay.
non-starter. Okay, very good.
So,
And my last one, sorry, Nicole, is number 32.
Yep.
That was the maintenance agreement, but that one's now all set.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll still be working on what the O&M pieces say in it.
okay, so basically, all this, the cost of maintenance is going to go over to the homeowner once the property is sold? Okay, all right, and then,
Gene, if you could supply what an outside price for inspection would be, it'll give us a gauge on
Okay.
what we should set our price at.
and what the homeowner can expect too?
100% correct,
So you don't want any
yes.
surprises?
Nope. Transparency.
Absolutely.
Okay,
The only last question I have is, from reading this and looking at the plans, basically, we're not taking any water from the properties into the street area. Everything's being addressed on the site.
As much as possible.
So that's why they did the things in the driveways to pick up the water coming down. So I'm really looking at not handling any more water than I'm already handling now. Am I reading this correct?
No, I think you're right, yeah. And I do want to remind the board that like a single-family house usually doesn't have all of these things with it. But because we're doing these all together, you should have a lot less stormwater in your road.
It triggers, under the MS4 permit, just so the board knows, it triggers a whole different level of permitting. If Asher Construction came in and built one house, we wouldn't be going through all this.
now, Gene, has all your questions been addressed with these conditions that
Yes.
Nicole has?
I think so.
Brian, do you have anything else that you?
No, I feel, after this conversation, I feel very comfortable. This afternoon with reading it, I had questions, that's why I came out tonight.
Okay, very good. Mr. Gould, now, you said you
I
wanted.
want to make 3 points, and by points, I no disrespect to the gentleman over here. We have a standing order here that when we have one of these meetings, that the contractor's supposed to show up. We do.
Contractor or representative?
Well, yeah, but he's representing the engineer.
Well, he's
Well,
engineer, which is representing
The
the contractor.
contractor isn't here, and they haven't been here. Secondly, the first set of plans that came in here were a joke. Ty and Bond found 32 gigs, 32. For example, let's take a look at number 29. 29 says that a certain section requires a catch basin and so on and so forth. And the engineering firm says the catch basin will be on private property, will not be maintained by Winchendon DPW. Who's going to maintain it? The owner or the contractor? I don't think so.
Mr. Gould, that's going to be passed along to whomever purchases that property with a fee schedule of how much it's going to cost to maintain that.
And thirdly, I know you've all been out there. I know you've read, all of you have read all of this stuff. But that particular location up there, everything runs downhill. Everything runs downhill. And there's a lot of little ponds and so on and so forth, all the way through there and so forth. And, you know, you allow something like this without proper drainage, and Hale Street doesn't have any drainage, and so forth. And Frank, I don't think anything it does out there. There isn't any drainage out there. And this is simply going to make a lot more work for Public Works and they're having a struggle taking care of what they have. You know, I just simply feel, I'm not against these things like this, but, you know, I think we need to take a closer look, as Mrs. Christie's organization did. You sort of set a plan for something like this, and you come in with 32 gigs? I don't think so. I just don't think so. 32 concerns.
And they've all
they
been
haven't had-
addressed.
Huh?
And they've all been addressed.
Well, I know, but that's why we got here, is because if we don't have an expert like her, these guys are gonna get away with murder, and they do now, because apparently, and we found out at McDonald's, you come up with all these decisions and nobody enforces it. So what the hell are we doing here?
Going through the motions.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yes.
It is
Oh,
also...
thank you, Bert, for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you.
No, that's all right point. You know, my points have been made.
Yes.
It is also suggested to hold a bond in place here at Town Hall with the treasurer, giving Brian a copy, at the DPW, to ensure that the project is done in completion. We will hold the bond until the last,
The bond should be held 1 year after each house is built. So it can be one complete bond for all, and the bond amount can be reduced year after year. So I would ask Jean to suggest a price. Send it to Nicole, we can discuss it internally inside, and the bond's in place. So if it takes 3 years to build these houses, 1 year after each house is complete with no issues, that house will be released. Does that make sense? I don't want to hold a bond for the full amount if it takes 3 years to build 16 houses.
that does make sense, Brian.
Okay, and we have the
So, yeah.
bond amount already figured out.
We do not. So Jean is going to calculate the bond and the amount of work it would take to oversee the project and to make sure.
Now, will that be a condition?
Yes, will be a
Okay.
condition. Yeah, until we hear back from Jean, and then we'll pass it along to Asher Construction.
Now, is this
Us.
just for the stormwater management pieces?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
No other,
Include
just the
houses.
just the stormwater, that
Okay.
is it.
Yeah, just the stormwater. Mhm.
I have a question.
Very good, Amanda.
So this is going to go along with the homeowner to be responsible for this. What kind of enforcement is this upon the homeowner if they don't? And do we have any other properties like this in town already?
So Asher Construction has another one on High Street. We put conditions in place for that. We really don't have developments being established in this nature. Asher Construction has been the only one over 2 years to bring something of this magnitude. If it was a commercial build, like, which is gonna be proposed on Commercial Drive, they're gonna have the same restrictions that they're having now. This is the new reform from the state. There's a lot of oversight on this, and there's a lot of protection that the town needs to take to make sure stuff's done in the correct manner, so that we don't get stuck with something that doesn't work, or we don't take on the responsibility of, extreme rainwater running down the street. This is the town's insurance policy, so by having this in place helps to protect us.
So who does it fall on to enforce it?
You're looking at it, unfortunately.
And Brian, one more thing. What if the homeowner fails to have their maintenance done?
I believe that we're gonna have to build that into our standard operating procedure or bylaws, which we still need to form. This is a working document, and we need to come up and understand that. I'm hoping we can have that completed fairly shortly and present it to this board to get an opinion of change, or, yes, it looks good, but we have to come up with something, so not only would we present it to this board, but I would believe we'd have to present it to Comcom as well,
Yeah, probably BOS too.
and BOS. So it's something that has to be created, and it needs to be tailored to Winchendon, but not really tailored to Winchendon. It needs to work. So unfortunately, with the new regulations, everything falls on the back of the homeowner. So what the fines are, or the non-maintenance, that's still to be determined.
I think to your question, with all the new regulations, there are a whole different things that have to be done where we didn't have them in 3-4 years ago, so we do not, this is all new territory, basically.
So if you build a house and you're under an acre of clearing, none of this comes into play. It's because of the size of the lots, it's because of the number of lots, so if, you know, anybody here wants to go build a brand-new house and they're gonna do less than an acre of clearing, none of this comes into play. That's just the way the Mass General Law is written now.
Yeah, and a lot of these regulations weren't in place 5, 10 years ago, so again, it's all new, so.
This is
how
all
we
brand new
enforce
last year.
it and things like that.
And it's
You have
not
to-
unique to Winchendon.
Please?
It's not unique to Winchendon. Many communities are stumbling through this.
We're the best at stumbling.
We'll get there.
Okay, very good. We have two options here. If we don't have any more testimony in regards to this, we can close the hearing, or if people aren't comfortable closing, we can continue it, but I don't think there's anything to discuss now, just a matter of a vote. So, if I
make a-
don't have any questions, I
Make a
entertain.
motion, we close the hearing.
Okay, very good. Thank you,
Second.
Ed. And a second by Art. If no more questions or no more public, all in favor of closing the hearing? Aye.
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 And the chair votes aye. Okay, now, we get to the part of, if we do decide to approve this, do you have your conditions, and can you do a quick review of them?
So the conditions would be that we need to discuss between Brian, myself, and Jean from Ty and Bond, the maintenance agreement cost and what is going to be passed on to the builder. We're suggesting the 53G, which Jean is going to get the cost of the 53G, which is the maintenance of the project throughout the project, making sure that they're following all the rules, making sure the drainage, just overseeing everything in pertaining to storm water. And then we're also going to determine what the cost is going forward to the homeowner, you know, once the expense is passed on to the homeowner for maintenance. Number 19 on the,
So, I want to be clear on the maintenance. We're not maintaining it. They're maintaining it, where we are only inspecting it. So if the inspection comes back and it's not up to par, it's up to the homeowner to bring it up to par, to make sure it's working correctly, and to do whatever they have to do through an engineer to make sure it's right. I don't want the expectation out there that the Department of Public Works is maintaining anything. We are maintaining nothing. We're only conducting the inspection.
And just to that point, you were talking about we need new bylaws to
to incorporate
put some teeth
MS4.
into that?
So, Cassandra, there are bylaws in place now that were adopted last year, I believe it was. Some of that's spelled out, but the fees and the fines and the maintenance and the repair, none of that's in it, and that's because that's a town piece. That has to be set by the town. All the bylaws and the regulations are set from the state. They are taken directly from the state. We didn't alter them in any way. They passed a town meeting, so there's no issues on those bylaws. It's coming up with the fee schedules, which is recommended to the Board of Selectmen and approved by the Board of Selectmen.
So to recap, Jean's going to give us the price of the 53G to be passed on to the builder or the applicant, Asher Construction. DPW is going to be responsible for inspecting the drainage areas, and it would be the homeowner's expense to.
Can we add something to that? It's DPW and/or
Their agent.
agent, correct?
DPW and/or an agent.
Yep, I want
Okay.
to make sure that's in there, because if it keeps up the way it is now, and we don't have the time to do it, I want to be able to subcontract it out.
Okay. So DPW or agent or representative to inspect the basins and to inform the homeowner of maintenance needed. And it would be at the homeowner's expense to hire an engineer or a company to address the findings upon DPW or the agent's inspection. Number 19, there are 6 infiltration basins. We did address that, Jean. That was the one with the Time bond response, the applicant did not provide the HydroCAD calculations. The calculations are on the new plans as discussed between Tim and Trevor, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And number 24, the 1-inch depth to meet the stormwater regulations.
That's
Or
already
the,
been
excuse me, the
done,
1-inch
so
depth to do the 90% TSS removal. You did find the 1-inch depth to be acceptable?
Correct, that didn't need a condition.
Yep, so nothing further. And then number 30, the pipes. DPW requested a minimum of 12 inches. So they, 12-inch pipe with a 6-inch orifice. They decided on a 12-inch vertical pipe with the 6-inch orifice. That way, if anything built up, it could go up and over and in to still the 12-inch vertical pipe. We discussed a bond. Jean is going to give us the price of her recommendation for the cost of a bond for the project to be reduced every single time a new home is built and a certificate of occupancy is issued over the years. And I believe that was about it.
Nicole, it's on the bond. The bond's held 1 year after the house is an occupancy permit. So if today, on January 26th, the occupancy permit was given, the bond would be released the following year on the 26th. And then they could reduce the bond. So it's 1 year from the time of final sign-off.
1 year
No.
from occupancy?
Yes.
Okay, 1 year from occupancy.
I have a question about the conditions.
Yes.
We talked about Ty and Bond overseeing this before installation of the pipe, and do the 1-year inspection.
Correct.
So should that be any condition?
Well, it's already in the condition that it's the town and/or their agent. So we've already set that in the previous one, so that's already addressed.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's
So,
addressed.
we 100% covered
And
it.
that's addressed in the 53G.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's
3G
covered twice.
53G will take place until the project is complete.
To each house lot project is complete. Not total project, each house lot project.
Yeah,
Yeah, so Ty and Bond will oversee
I just wanted to make sure.
from
Yeah,
start to
no,
finish.
I agree.
Yep, they'll oversee from start to finish in the form of 53G at the expense of the applicant to ensure that things are properly done, and it will remain in effect until 1 year after the occupancy is issued on that property.
Now,
Okay.
this is definitely Ty and Bond, or is it Ty and Bond or a outside agent of their choosing?
It's
In our approval?
after the first year, it's up to the town. So if we stay contracted with Ty and Bond, it's either the town inspect it or their designee. That's why it's not spelled out Ty and Bond. It's spelled out and/or designee.
Oh,
If,
okay.
if Graz Engineering or the builder wants to hire another company to come in for the oversight, that is what it is. That's totally up to them. We can't tell them that Ty and Bond has to do the oversight. We don't have that purview.
But we can reject somebody they put up if we don't think they're qualified.
Yes.
Okay, I just,
They have to show us that they've completed it in the past.
Yeah.
That's all.
now, did I see any hands, any questions? Now, do you have any comments in regards to all these things you've heard on conditions?
No, they all seem pretty straightforward. I mean, they make sense.
And to make all these conditions, is there any time frame or on some of these things, or before any building permits are issued or anything like that?
I don't have any problem moving forward once the bond is in place. Till the bond is in place, I would not issue a building permit.
Yeah, bond is in place and the decision needs to be recorded.
Okay, very good.
Yep. And again, you should still remain the same, try to have the bond in while the decision is still, in its 20-day appeal or shortly thereafter. That way we can have everything in place, because I'm sure you guys want to start sooner rather than later.
The only question I have for the board, is, do you want them to pull the bond on the full 26 houses, or do you want them to pull a bond on every house when it starts? That's a board decision.
Every house.
That's a
Mr. Gould says every house. Gene, what's the standard on this, or do
I
you have
honestly
one?
don't know.
So,
Okay, very
I
blunt.
don't know.
right, so I don't want to see the applicant expend extra money if it takes 3 years to build a house. There's no reason for him or them to be paying on a bond. So it's my recommendation that each house lot has its own bond. A building permit is not issued till that bond is in place. If that bond is not in place, then they do not get a building permit.
I agree.
Yeah, that makes sense, because it might be 10 years before,
Correct.
or never, that they build
Exactly.
it.
Right.
Okay, we will list that in the conditions, that each home built is to have an individual bond to be held by the treasurer, with a copy being distributed to the DPW.
So basically, when they pull a permit, that's the first construction, or they touch the land,
Yes.
is what I'm saying, you know, because of the
There-
bond.
There will
So-
be no building permit issued unless a
And they
bond
can't go in
is
there
in
and
our
dig
office.
They're not gonna get a building permit unless I sign off on a driveway permit, and I'm not signing off on a driveway permit unless I have a bond in place.
So
I,
there,
I have a piece in the pie.
yeah, there are a lot of safeguards when
Okay,
a building
good.
permit is submitted. There's a lot of sign-offs that have to take place. So it is, it's in place, that we'll make sure that all the bonds are had.
Okay, that makes sense, you know, is fair. You know, because there's no need to have a bond on a lot that never will be built on.
Correct.
You never know what the economy does. Okay, now we are at a position where we can approve this with conditions that we discussed. And Nicole's gone over them, we've gone over them. Or we can not approve it, or item 3 is we can kick it down the road if we want, but I think we've covered everything, so I'll entertain one motion or the other from any of the board members.
How do you want to say this?
Well, you want me to say it? I can
Yeah.
make a motion, but
I'll make the motion that we accept it
with
with all the
conditions.
conditions that we did.
Okay, very good. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
And second from Art. Okay,
Question.
yes, Mr. Gould?
Are you satisfied with all the changes and everything?
Yes.
You are, okay. Public Works?
I am satisfied, that is why I'm here.
Okay, does that motion mean that you're gonna have a bond on every single appurtenance, every single house?
When they have to have a bond before they pull the
Every
permit.
separate installation?
Correct.
Yeah, once they want to build on it, they
Okay,
have
and
to
that's
put the
gonna be in
bond
the agreement?
in. In other words, they don't have to throw out 24 bonds all at once.
No, I'm not saying
Okay,
that.
yeah,
Okay, all right, okay. And you're satisfied?
Yes, I am.
I've been there before, too. So have you. I hope this doesn't come back to haunt anybody.
We never do.
oh, with that many lots, most of us won't be around, so you never know. Okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor, so we go. All in favor of approving this project with conditions stated, say aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and your project's
You're free to go.
approved.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd also like to thank Brian for being here tonight,
Yes.
Thank you.
because I know he's exhausted.
yes.
Because he's been out salting, sanding,
go home
plowing,
and
working on DPW equipment.
no.
So thank
Yeah,
you,
you
Brian, for
guys-
being here.
No problem.
This is one of the worst storms I've seen. I know you've seen many more, but
Oh, it was a good
Gene,
one.
thanks.
You're welcome.
yes.
And
My
thank
pleasure.
you as always, Jean. You're always nice to
Thank
deal
God we
with.
didn't have our meeting on Tuesday night.
I know.
See you next
We
time.
would have been doing it via Zoom.
Always good to see you, Gene.
You as
and
well.
Thank you,
for all
Gene.
your hard work.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so we
Thank
have.
you, Brian.
Yes, thank you. So we have one more item too that is going to be presented, I'm sure. Weller, you're going to give the Weller update? Okay.
Yeah, so the only real update we have here is we're looking at redesigning that whole site to do multifamily housing, so we can get rid of the need for a lot of the blasting of ledge that's gonna be going on out there right now with the 3 houses. So we're still in the preliminary stages of that, but essentially we're looking to just redesign everything so that there's gonna be less blasting.
Yes.
Mr. Gould, go ahead.
And this is Weller Street, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. If there's going to be any changes up there, I think we should insist on a new set of plans. And if for nothing else, there's a drainage problem up there, and I've been informed by the distinguished member of Public Works that they made a number of changes up there when they resurfaced the road. So that means if there's going to be any kind of a change, any movement whatsoever, the drainage is going to change. So I simply feel that if there's any changes whatsoever, I don't care if it's a sidewalk or a driveway, a new set of plans need to come before this board. And the next time that we discuss it, I trust somebody will make an effort to get the damn contractor here, like we agreed months and months ago on this board to have happen.
Okay, very good. And I might suggest if they change the plans at all, they come in for a design review and just an informal meeting in the office with somebody, say like Brian.
Okay.
I did
say
speak
like
with Trevor about that.
Nicole,
Okay.
Yeah.
Myself,
Yeah.
or maybe the fire chief, police chief, you know, things, so you don't come in front of us and have everybody on your case.
Okay.
I would,
That makes sense, yeah.
I would agree with Mr. Gould, if they're gonna change the lot design and they're gonna change water flows, and what's currently designed works now, but what may change or what may happen may change the water flows, which could wreak some serious havoc up there, so.
From
Right.
what I understand, there's gonna be changes, and I'm just saying,
Yeah.
come in and show us the changes before you bring them in front of the board.
Yeah.
Okay.
And any changes can be subject to, site
can be
plan
dealt
through
with
tie and bond,
ahead of
and,
time, so they-
so we can start basically from the drawing board.
Well, if he presents another plan, he's
Yeah,
gonna
go
go
ahead,
through tie and
Wes.
bond again.
I have a question. What are you gonna do about those 2 big piles of dirt that are just piled there that look like you know what? Can't we knock them down to level it off or something right now? I mean, you got 2 holes there. It just makes the whole neighborhood look crazy up
Yeah.
there, you know?
I would imagine that eventually they're gonna have to be trucked off-site. But, yeah, I don't know what Asher's plan is right now with them.
One thing that I will say is that Asher Construction did comply with my tree request up there. They did take down everything that I did want to take down.
I'm glad they did, because you.
I would have been in a world of hurt this week
Oh, you
with
would've
it.
been- yes. I was just gonna say the same thing, that it's a good thing that all those trees are gone. That was a
In
big
one
one.
way.
But I mean, it just, if you're gonna just leave the site like it is for a while, just clean it up. That's all I'm looking at, to make it look decent.
Relay that information back to them.
I definitely will.
Okay. All right.
Okay, any other questions, Vash?
Where's Paul?
Yeah,
He-
Florida?
He's at another meeting tonight.
He's back from his vacation?
Hello there.
Yeah, he's back from Aruba.
Ooh-bah.
Probably calls if you got shot now.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you very much.
Thank you
you,
for
guys.
coming.
Now you can-
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, nothing else on the agenda besides adjournment. Just want to note that we don't have anything in planning at
Yes,
the moment.
we do have one more item that Brian would like to address.
So I was lucky enough to attend a conference last week, and as part of it was these style projects came up. And one of the biggest things seen throughout Massachusetts is bonds are being released before projects are complete and signed off and approved by Public Works or whatever body. So the recommendation that was given is that prior to the board releasing the bond, the Public Works Department signs off and records that everything was done according to plan and installed correctly. Whether that means I do the inspection or a third party does the inspection saying this is done. And that, when I say third party, that's my third party doing the inspection. I feel it's important that we don't get in the circumstances that we've gotten in multiple other developments in this town, and now we're scrambling, trying to get road acceptance, get the proper documents, get stuff that doesn't exist. So it's my recommendation to the board, and you guys can do with it what you would like. But I feel that my office or my designee should sign off before you guys release any bond, because the town doesn't have the resources to pick up the pieces when it's not done right.
Oh, absolutely, there's no reason they should.
I completely agree with you, because, you know, I think the, you know,
And that's something,
the project should be complete before any bond is released.
So we're not gonna reduce bonding, we're not gonna do anything, the bond stays in full, because you need to make sure everything underground is complete. One factor that we may wanna do, and it's being seen through other municipalities, whether, you know, it has sewer or stormwater, running, you want each manhole inspected, each set of sewer lines inspected with video, so that we have a copy, so if there's an issue 10 years down the road, we can go back and say, oh, well, it was installed correctly, you know, what really caused the issue, or in the same respect goes to stormwater. It's all about documentation, and that's the only way we can protect ourselves.
now, have you already seen some other towns that have a regulation that you'd like to model it after, what you're talking there, or that just something?
It was just part of the talk, because the talk was about unaccepted town roads, and, you know, like the town of Foxborough had 40 developments going in a 5-year period, and not all the paperwork was done correctly, and now they're trying to pick up the pieces, and I don't want to see Winchton in that circumstance. So I want to be with the rest of the Commonwealth and be ahead of this to make sure that things are done in a correct nature. If a project's going on and the company doing it goes belly up, we have the money to finish the road or get it so that it's acceptable. I'm not saying get a bond to finish the building lots. That's in no case what I'm looking for. I'm looking for subdivisions, whether it's commercial or residential, that we have the proper funding to finish the job. The biggest key factor in this is if we go and take somebody's bond, I now have to pay prevailing wage to get that work finished. So when we work with Gene from Ty and Bond, they look at it as what's it gonna cost at a prevailing wage schedule to complete that project. We're not looking at it as a contractor. It's who's paying about half the cost of what I have to pay for the same construction, because the state tells us what the contractors get paid per hour. So we want to make sure that insurance policy is in place.
Yeah, well, what I was getting to, instead of reinventing the wheel, do you know of some regulations that kind of put most of that stuff into it?
Well,
that
you
we
don't-
can just plagiarize and put into our planning board regulations?
We don't, it's pretty simple text that says that the Public Works Department signs off on the project prior to the planning board reviewing and signing off. We can type up something real simple. There's nothing really crazy in it. All it's saying is that this is the proper steps that need to be taken in order for the contractor to get their bond back. We can come up with it, we can present it at the next meeting, you guys can endorse it. It's just a procedural document to go in the file, that's all.
So what's the prior procedure when you have bonds?
What's that?
What's the prior procedure? Like, what's the procedure we have in effect now? We release them before the project's finished?
No, so typically you guys would complete it once it's finished, but if it's not signed off, so this board would take the recommendation of whoever the contractor is, hey, yeah, it's done. But by having.
So it's not that extra step that you look at it? to make
Correct.
sure. Okay.
It's having, because not, like, Commercial Drive's a bad example, but it's a good example. Commercial Drive's gonna remain a private road.
Yeah,
It'll
that's
never
why I
be a-
asked that. I wanted to know.
It'll never be a town road, but if they come in and they start the project and they go belly up 50% through, we can't leave that project like that, because we're gonna take on additional groundwater. We have liabilities. We wanna make sure that it's protected so that we can go in, we can finish the road, and it's done.
So that one's written that way? that
Correct.
we- Okay.
Yep, it's just making it so that there's one extra set of eyes that knows underground construction or paving. That's all it is.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So it'd be DPW and planning board prior to building commissioner.
And that would be something we
Well,
put,
Jeff, or I shouldn't say Jeff, I should say the building commissioner doesn't sign off on road construction. The building commissioner signs off on building construction. So, road construction really doesn't have much oversight, because it's built that it's being done correctly. If it's a town job and the town's paying to have it done, there's a lot of oversight. It may be something down the road that we want to look at, whether we do it in-house or we have a third party come in and oversee the construction of the roadways, the piping, the different stuff. That's something that can be a discussion, because you don't want somebody putting water, sewer, or drainage in and having poor compaction. You should have the gravels tested for compaction. You want to make sure that the pipes are encased in stone. So I know when contractors are currently doing water, sewer, and drainage, now we go out and do spot inspections. But there really is no inspection on the compaction of the soils. The compaction of the soils makes it so that you don't have dips in the roads, and you don't have a lot of settling. It's saying that the compaction of the soil is above 95%. That's just standard building practice. So we can draw something up, come back to you guys next month with it, and say, hey, this is our recommendations. We can tweak it to whatever you guys want, but I'll work with Nicole to put together a list of recommendations and expectations to the contractors that are doing work in this town. You know, if I believe in being 100% transparent. Any contractor that works in the town understands what I'm looking for, and they know that they can't cut corners, because I just don't deal with it.
we'd be more than willing to do that. I think probably best way to be, put it in our regulations. It's simpler than trying to put it in the zoning bylaws or something, because all we have to do is have a public hearing here for the board, put in our regulations, and they're there forever.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. and
'Cause,
with
we're
that-
just citizen planners, we don't know all this stuff.
And with that said, we have no other further new business.
Oh, maybe,
We get to go home.
Motion to
We're
adjourn.
done.
Okay, I move to adjourn.
I'll second it.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the chair votes aye.